far, successful book writer, and he's also an ex-educator like you from Long Island.
Oh, O'Reilly.
Yeah, he used to be a
Yeah,
teacher.
well, I have a feeling that things didn't work out too well for him in the teaching department, and that's why, because he's so outspoken and finds it so difficult to work with others, I think. But this worked out for him. Let's face it, the man makes over $20 million a year.
So I'm not sure how he did as a teacher. We can't really comment on that because we don't know, Mark.
Well, no, most people who enjoy teaching and like what they're doing and want to make a difference in society. Why did I stay for 34 years? And I was laid off in the process. Certainly that would have been enough to sour me on education, but I didn't take it out on the kids.
Well,
just like I was mugged one time as a teenager by a group of black kids, and it didn't turn me off of teaching black students. I was able to separate one from the other.
Well, firstly, we don't know how many years he taught. We don't know when he left. He's not a young man, and he hasn't been around that long in reality. So he may have retired as a teacher and continued on with his
No, I don't think
career.
he did. But the bottom line is we're not here to discuss or give him any more
Press.
airtime and press than he deserves. Okay?
I have no problems with him.
But once again, ladies and gentlemen, the number is 665, excuse me, 516-665-1860.
Hey, Mark, I got a good idea. Why don't you go outside, give us a call, disguise your voice.
No, I think this voice is distinctive. I think no matter how I tried or what I tried to do, you'd know it's me.
Well, let's go back to the government shutdown and the actual seriousness of what's going on. It's not as serious. I think what Congress is doing is a lot more serious than maybe the actual government shutdown. The government, the Republicans in the Congress are basically shutting down the government because of a belief that they have.
Well, President Obama said it properly when he said that they're willing to shut down the government because basically they don't like him. He's come right out and said it. He said, if you have a problem with me, that's one thing, but don't take it out on the American people. And that's exactly what's happening.
Well, the thing is, First thing is, I think they should just, on Obamacare and issues like that, the hell with the Senate, the hell with the Congress, have a general vote on it. If more than 51% of the people want Obamacare, you have it. If they don't, you don't have it, and that's the end of it.
Well, when the polls say that 51 to 58% don't want it, okay, I think it's simply because they really don't understand it. And really, if you asked 5 or 6 different people, you get 5 or 6 different interpretations of exactly what Obamacare is. Let's face it. Give it a chance to work. If it doesn't work, that's one thing. Then Congress can draft legislation to have another vote on affordable health care. So, all we're asking for is, 3 or 4 more months? You're purchasing it now, and it goes into effect January 1st, 2014. Am I right, Felix?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so give it a chance.
Well, listen, why do I have to have health insurance if I don't want it? I'm 20 years old. Figuratively speaking, I'm only stating the hypothetical case, obviously. 20 years old. I'm healthy as a horse. I really don't care. Why should I have it?
You know why? Because all it takes is one accident, one major virus, one hospitalization, and all of your savings is lost.
I don't have any savings. I'm going to go to the hospital. They're going to take care of me.
Who's going to pay for that?
Who cares? Who's going to pay for it? The government, just like the government is forcing us with this program that's going to cost us money. That's who's going to pay for it. It's just a different way of getting around the same circle.
I don't know. To me, they're condemning the program before they're even giving it a chance to work.
Well, I think the Obama administration has made a big mistake in not putting out radio broadcasts, having half an hour infomercials on TV, explaining it. I mean, we have, if the, excuse my expression, if the president takes a piss, they broadcast it.
Let's not get vulgar.
I was just saying, they should be doing infomercials on it, explain it to people.
Well, that seems to be the major argument of the Republican Party. They're saying that, once again, not calling him by name, but this president did not do a good enough job in selling his case for Obamacare, for the Affordable Health Care Act.
I agree with them. If I don't understand it, and I'm the employer, now that means my employees also don't understand it.
But whether it's true or not, Felix, let's be honest. They're still tying everything into this one bill that if the president holds off for a year, they're willing to fund the government through 2014, through the end of the year, and then have hearings, all right? They're willing to raise the debt ceiling, maybe not the Tea Party people, but the rank and file Republican Party, along with many of the Democrats, But, this is what he based his whole first term on. This is what he hopes will be his legacy, that the first president in many decades to actually get health care passed. And now it's a law. People don't understand that it's a law.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mark. How was it passed?
There was a vote in Congress. Republicans appealed it to the Supreme Court, and on a 5-4 decision, Justice Roberts, being the Chief Justice and the final vote, said that the law stands as it is written. So it's already gone to the Supreme Court.
But
it's the law of the land.
I understand that, but this was a law that was not voted by Congress. It was done by executive order, which means that the people didn't have any decision-making.
Well, but Congress had its opportunity when they brought the case in front of the Supreme Court. Yeah. And the Supreme Court, as the supreme law of the land,
what they said,
agreed and passed it 5-4.
What they said was Obama had the right to do it. They didn't judge the law on its merits.
And like I'm saying, unless you give it an opportunity to work, there will be no merits.
But I understand that.
All this is speculation.
But this was all done by one man without the approval of the Senate, without the approval of the Congress. Nobody approved this. He just executed it. And I don't think that's the way it's got to be done. I don't think that's the right way, and I think that's one of the big reasons why a lot of people don't like it.
I don't know. If a doctor tells you you have to take a flu shot because it's good for you,
I can get a second opinion.
You
can't. I think this was done wrong, and it gives the Republicans a lot of ammunition because it was done the way it was. And by the way, if it went through Congress, it would have failed anyway. So Obama couldn't put it through Congress because it would have never made it through. So this was pushed by Obama by himself as the dictator, president of the United States.
Slip of the tongue?
Well, same thing. Same thing the Russians would have done if they wanted to pass the law. Unfortunately, But he was voted, so.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I must remind you that we have a brief amount of time left of airtime here. So if you're hoping to call in
This is
with
the right
your comments, this is the time to do it. 516-665-1860. We're standing by.
Oh, and for the audience, I want to say that my opinions are not of anybody's but my own, and most of them are not even my opinions. I am just acting as a devil's advocate to bring out the arguments, because if we were both on the same side, then there would be no arguments and there would be no thoughts brought into this conversation.
Well, I think, as we've said before, these are really only our opinions. This is a radio show about nothing, okay? If we can call it that. I like to compare it to Seinfeld of television, okay? Jerry Seinfeld had a very successful TV show about absolutely nothing, where they would take a minor thing and blow it up into a 30-minute segment, and they had much success with that. We're trying to do the same thing here on radio.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that, because what we discuss is not minor. We're discussing major topics that affect everybody.
Well, you're right, but they're not major if no one's going to bother to call in and give us their opinion.
That's because they're all listening and weighing in what we're saying and contemplating it and wondering what's...
Well, then maybe you should give them our Skype address again, so that if they have a question, they could send it to us even after the show is over.
Well, that's our email address.
Well, that too. I'm not very technical.
Skype, they call in. Actually, you could probably leave a Skype message also. Our email address is felix@uscargo. Felix@truckingtoheaven.com. And Mark is Mark
at truckingtoheaven.com. Or Tonto. You can be my kimosabi.
That's it. But as I said, and a lot of times I take on an opposing view that I don't necessarily agree with, but I do understand it.
Well, in philosophy, we would call you a sophist. A sophist is one who takes an opposing view on purpose, just to exactly what you're doing, to stimulate discussion.
Well, you have to. And plus, I think it's only fair that people hear more than one side. No matter whose side you're on, you should know what other people are thinking, other thoughts, so you can make a rational decision.
Oh, is that like Michelle Bachmann working for the IRS when she claimed that she was working for the enemy to see how the government works, calling our government the enemy?
Well, listen, nobody ever said this woman was of sane mind or body.
She keeps getting reelected.
Well, who cares? It's
in Minnesota, it's too cold to think, really.
Is she Alaska?
No, that's Palin, and she's even worse.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Palin. They're both of them in cold climate. Brains don't work too well, and people don't really care. As long as they get heat in their homes, that's all they want. But I will say Palin was cute.
Well, I would say Bachmann is good looking too, but I don't know. I just can't picture her and Marcus dancing around,
Well, I'll tell you. Looks to me are more important right now, because if I had to listen to these people, I'd shoot them. So when one of them talks, I just...
Oh, we're going to talk about your Second Amendment rights now? The right to bear arms?
Absolutely.
We'll throw that in for good measure, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody's allowed to carry.
But just remember one thing. Forgotten in this whole mess is the fact that Syria is supposed to allow UN investigators in to monitor the dismantling and getting rid of their chemical weapons. Okay, it's amazing the difference a few weeks makes. Now that we're down to the nitty-gritty of the government closing down.
And also Iran, the prime minister or president of Iran.
And I feel so good. The new president Rouhani, wish